This movie shows you how to program your robot to go forward in Robolab. So first we're going to open Robolab. I'm going to double click on the icon on my desktop. And we're going to start in programmer mode. So I'm going to click on programmer. To open a new file, I double click on Inventor 4. So I'm going to double click on Inventor 4 and a new window opens. Notice that the functions palette and the tools palette showed up when I opened a new window, but if they weren't open, I'll close them both. You can go to Window in Robolab and select Show Functions Palette, and Window and Show Tools Palette. Now the first thing I want to do is I want to get rid of this green light. So I'm going to use the Tools palette and select the pointer tool. And I like to use the keyboard commands, so if you notice on my Tools palette, when I'm pressing the space bar, I'm switching between my pointer and my wire tool. I can also use another key command, the Tab key, and you can see I switch between the finger, the pointer, the text tool, and the wire tool. Those are the four most common, with the pointer and the wire being the two most common. So I'm going to switch to my pointer tool, and I'm going to select the green light, and I'm going to delete it. I want to replace that green light with an NXT green light, so I'm going to select under NXT commands, I'm going to select this Begin NXT, and I'm going to place it in my window. I want to change the name of the program. So this name here is the program that's written to the NXT, and I want to change that to forward. So I'm going to double click and type forward. I'm going to switch back to my pointer tool, and now I want to program my robot to go forward. So I'm going to go back to the original functions palette, and I'm going to select motor A forward. I'm going to select motor C forward, and that'll start both motors A and C. Now I want the motors to be on for a certain number of rotations, or a certain number of degrees of the turning of my motors, so I'm going to select wait for, and then from this menu I'm going to select NXT wait for rotations. Once it goes that number of rotations, I want the motors to stop. So I'm going to go back to my top level palette, and I'm going to select the Stop All Outputs. Now, the thing that's missing here, if I switch to the wire tool, it tells me how these icons need to be wired. So I can see here I need a port, and I need a cutoff rotation in degrees. So this is the number of degrees I want the motors to go before I do the next step, which would be to stop. So to find, first of all, to find the port, I want to go over here to Modifiers, and then I want to select the port. So I'm going to select port A. That's one. I can select A or C, and I'm going to select A. And if I'm lucky, it wires automatically. If I'm not, then I have to wire it. So I need to wire from the top of A up to the port. If I wire from the bottom of A, I get a bad wire. So the way to get rid of a bad wire is I hold down the Command key, sometimes called the Apple key, and B. That gets rid of bad wires. Or you can get rid of bad wires by going up to Edit and say Remove Broken Wires, which you can see here is the keyboard command. So now I'm going to wire at top of A to the port, and you can see that outside of A has a green outline, and the wire is green, and where you plug in here it shows you as green. Now I also need the number of degrees, so I'm going to go over to my functions palette and select the numeric constant. That wired automatically, and you can see that my number is already highlighted. It's light blue, so I can type right now. But let's say I didn't. I would want to change to the text tool and then click inside here and I'm gonna change this to 1080 because that's 3 rotations of my wheel. And I'm going to select accept. So I still have a broken arrow, which means there's something wrong with my program, and as I look at it, I see my stop light and my stop sign and my stop light are not wired. So to wire, you can see when you're on the wire, when you're using the wire tool, when you're ready to wire, it shows you where it's going to wire. So I want to wire from the left or from the right side of A to the left, from the right side of the stop sign to the left side of my stop light. And so now you can see I'm ready to download because my program is good. The only other thing you might want to change here is I can wire in a power level to motors A and C. If I leave it unwired, then the default it is that it's going to run at maximum power, which is a power level of 5. But if I want to change it to be slower, I can pick one of these, the power levels. So a 1 means 20% of full power, 2 means 40, 3 means 60, 4 means 80, and 5 means 100% of full power. So if I want to run at, say, 60% of full power, I can wire to the top of the power level for both A and C, and that'll slow me down. And so then when I want to download to my program, to my robot, I just click on this white arrow, download, and I'm ready to run the program on my robot.